If you don't know what this is, you're going to find out today, and it's something that can help your pets out. Let's talk pets at the village. That's right, everybody. We're going to talk about this little gem right here. And my name's Rusty Nelson, by the way, and I'm down here at the Villages, and I do a bunch of videos dealing with retirement, the villages. So it kind of interests a lot of people in a lot of different areas. But I'll give you an example why I'm doing this. I just got back from Philadelphia, brought down my printers. I'll show you that. And that was kind of an exciting time. But I was driving up the street and I saw somebody walking down the street. And this is about 2:00 in the afternoon. And they had their dog with them. Now, if you don't live here in the villages and you don't know, during the summer, it gets pretty hot out there. And I'm watching this dog and they're walking this dog all the way down the street. Now, I don't think they realize how hot the concrete gets or the drive gets or the parking lots get or anything else. So we're going to take this out. This is a digital thermometer and it's laser, so it's pretty accurate. And we're going to go check it out different parts of the day and see exactly what the temperature is that you're walking your dog along. Now, it feels good to you because you're not in your bare feet, but trust me, it is hot to them. And just because you think that they have pads and they're not yelping or screaming, it can take a while. You know, when you touch a hot pan or something like that, it can actually take a second or two before you actually feel the pain from the heat. By that time, the damage is already done. And you have to remind yourself, your pet is trying to please you almost all the time. So it figures if you're walking along there, it can walk along there also. But we're going to see it's not always safe. So let's take a look at this part first, because I think it's really important. I don't want people to drop off. Then we're going to talk about a few rules and regulations that the Villages has regarding pets, and also take a visit to a couple of the dog parks. Now, let me tell you right now, it's all a mishmash of stuff because I just got down here and I tried to do this really in a hurry. So you'll see me. Yep, I'll have a beard or a little bit of scruff, and some places have a different shirt on, but just sit back, relax, and we'll go ahead and take a look at these things. I'm down here getting ready to do the video on the dog parks. And, you know, I always meet a bunch of nice people, and up comes, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Paul
And
Rinaldi, and I've been here at Homestead for going on 17 months in June.
17 months. So just typical meeting nice people down by the ball. But we had like this long discussion and he clued me in on a few things, and I'm going to go over those things. And thanks for the advice.
Yep.
Anybody you want to say hi to?
Hello, Andrea, and hello, Marguerite and Roger Pradesh.
There you go. So thanks to Paul. He clued me in on a bunch of stuff, and we're going to go over some of those important things. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you, Rusty.
Okay, see you later. And that's the way it's going to be. We're going to have a lot of fun here and go over a lot of these rules and regulations and things you can do to help out your pet. And I think you're going to be surprised at a few of them. And we're going to go visit a few of the parks. Before I even get started on this, I want to show you folks something. Now, I used to train dogs when I was younger. Got some bugs down here. When I was younger, and there's a lot of stuff that I learned about dogs. On my way over here, I saw some people walking their dog down the street. So they had already walked a whole block. Today's probably, I think it's about 88 degrees. So it's not a super hot day. And you see it's partly, partly cloudy. Clouds go in and out. But I want you to take a look at this right here. And this is actually, I'll take a shot of this, see what this comes up as. 132 degrees. It's 132 degrees on that. And the concrete itself, I'd say is going to be probably about 110 maybe. Oh, there you go, 112. 112 degrees. I promise you, if you walk across that, your feet are going to be burning. And I'm going to put up a sign that I saw here. I thought this was a really cool little sign, and I wish they'd put these around the villages. But the temperatures by the end of the day, you're talking about 130, 140 degrees that these animals are being walked on. And some of the hotter spots, there's almost 140 degrees.
and they're putting their animals on these. Please, folks, unless it's early in the morning, the sun's barely come up, don't walk your animal on there, because they're not going to complain. They love you, and they figure that you're taking them on a good place, and they're walking along. You want to go walk on this, you go take your shoes off, and you go try walking on 140 degrees. It's like walking across coals. So please don't walk your animals on here. And the reason that they have dog parks, you betcha, is because this gives them a chance to go play. Now, I just had a chance to meet Paul, and I went over a bunch of stuff with Paul, and he asked me to please convey some things to you folks. And I realize that you bring your dogs down here, but one of the biggest things that you need to do is read this. And there's a lot of good information on here. The hours of operation, 7 to dusk. Enjoy it, definitely, you're at your own risk. You have to be 19 years of age, or you have to bring an adult with you. They need to be on a leash until you get in there. They can't be aggressive dogs. These are some big things. Now, the big thing, he said, believe it or not, and I kind of found this unbelievable, is people, even inside here, he has to go in, and he's told us stories where people will just leave, and they'll leave poop there, even with other people around, which absolutely blows my mind. But I'm going to give you a shot, try to get an aerial shot of this area, and then we're going to go visit some of the other areas that, parks, because there's a bunch of parks all through the Villages. It's really a pet-friendly area. One of the other things that Paul asked me to emphasize that's really important, that there are certain areas, like the astronomy area over here, and there's the boardwalks over in here. I did a video on the boardwalks. You cannot take your animals on there even if they're on a leash. And there's a bunch of safety regulations why you can't do that. And so please don't bring your animals out on the boardwalk. And once again, please don't take your animals out onto this hot area. We'll take one more shot of this so you can see. There you go, right there's 131 degrees. So we had 131 to what, 140 some degrees on the pavement. I'm over here at St. Catherine. I figured this would be a good thing to take a look at. So a lot of us take our animals out and they walk them along this area. So let's see what the temperature is here. 136, and this is in the shade. 136, 140 degrees, and this is kind of a overcast day. So it's definitely hurting your animals. Walking them across this and walking them over to this area is probably 60 minutes, or 60 seconds. So you're definitely subjecting them to walking them down the street on here. Coming in here, you're 125, 130 degrees. Once you get onto this black area, you're already up to 138, 140 degrees. So like I said, please, please, please don't walk your animals across this, because they're not gonna turn around and go, hey, my feet are hot. They look over at you and go, and they have these big pads on the bottom of their paws, but under that, they end up getting blisters. So please be very cautious about what you're doing out in the sun and on the hot pavement.
All right, enough of that. 140 degrees and that's not even the highest. Enough said on that. Also, please pay attention to your animals running around in that heat, because I know you're out there socializing with everybody in the run areas, but your dog doesn't quite always know when to stop, and there is no place to get them into a cool area. If you see your pet really doing some heavy panting, you need to get the dog back, get them in an air-conditioned car, or get them home to an air-conditioned area. And as always, make sure you have water available. But please make sure you take your little water pots and everything back home with you. And remember also that the older dogs are just not going to fare that well out in the heat. I will put up right here recap of that first sign that I put up there, and you can freeze frame it. And also this one that will kind of give you an idea of what you need to think of as far as temperatures. Now, there's some other things you need to think about if you're going to have a pet here in the Villages, and we're going to go over some of those restrictions. But first, let's think about what the county requires. Now, there are like 4 counties that the villages encompass, but most of it's Sumter County, and most of them are all the same. If you take a look at this page, and I'll put the link down below, you need to have your animal vaccinated, and you need to have a license on the animal. So looking at this page, you not only need to do that for Sumter County, but you also need to do that to take your animals in and out of the run areas. And speaking of that, they need to be on a leash when they go into the run area, and that's what that little area is for in there, and then you can unleash them, let them out. Please make sure that your animals are not aggressive, and that doesn't mean, well, they're kind of not aggressive. I realize, being that I trained watchdogs, I know that even the nicest animals can get aggressive, and you'll see that where, just like we don't like some other human beings, there's dogs that meet up with other dogs that just do not like them. So your first time in there, you may want to hang with them on a leash and keep that really close at hand. Let's talk about what seems to be one of the biggest myths as far as dogs go or pets go in the villages. Now, I've heard this 1,000 times, and I have yet to know anybody that could actually point this out to me. And they say, oh, well, it's okay if you have more than 2 pets. You're allowed 2 pets in the villages, but you can have 3 pets, and as one passes, you just can't get another one. Until somebody shows me that in writing, I'm going to scream BS. And I'll tell you why. As some of you already know, I am kind of I read the restrictions. I know the restrictions pretty well. And I went back and looked from all the way back to the first CDD, the Area 1 up there. And if you take a look at that, this is exactly what it says. Now I'm going to show all 4 up there. And the first one is District 1, and the second one is District 2. I believe the third one is District 12 and District 13. Here they are, and if you take a quick look at this, District 1 says at that point in time, you could only have 1 cat, 1 dog, maximum of 20 pounds in weight. Now, obviously, that has gone by the wayside, and I don't know whether District 1 actually got amended. I couldn't find it, but maybe it did. And then all of a sudden, it jumps up in District 2 that you can have 2 pets, and there's no size limit, and basically, you're responsible for your animals. And so where it says Section 7, I believe that's District 12, and that has a limit of 2 pets per home site, and you will be responsible for any damage caused, and you're supposed to pick up the poop. Now, all of a sudden, you jump to District 13. You can freeze frame this if you want, but I'm going to come back on here. So you can see why a lot of us, especially people that have these YouTube channels, say you've got to read the deed restrictions for your specific district, because they change, and they can change over time also. Now, why in District 13 they struck the 2 animal limit, have no idea. It does say that it is that they cannot become a nuisance. So I hate to tell you, but if your next door neighbor hears the dogs barking and there's 3 dogs in that house, that's a nuisance. And that's specifically spelled out in county law. And that warrants a call from the sheriffs or the police department, because they are the ones that have to uphold things that are inside. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe there's actually law in their precedents where they can actually come in, and if your dogs are a nuisance, they can actually come into your house and take the animals. So with that said, I'm not an attorney. I don't work for the villages and all that happy stuff. Now that we've kind of covered some of the basic things, besides, let me tell you, pick up after your animals, pick up the dog poop. Don't be a lazy son of a bee neighbor and leave your poop on other people's lawns, or the dog's poop. Jeez. All right, let's go out and let's just take a couple of looks at a couple of dog parks for those people that haven't been to the dog parks And I just ran out today and took some pictures of them, had a lot of fun. And yes, I was playing with the dogs. Here you go. If you're going to come down to the dog parks, there's definitely some etiquette and things you need to learn if it's your first time down here. And as stated, Paul said to me before, please tell people to please read some of these kind of rules or guidelines for people to deal with their dogs, because a lot of times people come down here and they're not familiar with getting in areas with other animals, so to speak, and a lot of times their animals haven't. So you really want to make sure that they're pet friendly and they kind of get along with all the other dogs. But one thing to know right away is that there are two areas. There's a small dog area, and that's a maximum of 30 pounds. So if you want your dog to play with the small dogs, they may have to go on a diet. Anyway, and then there is the dogs over 30 pounds. Also, when you come here, I was asked to convey some of these things. There are dog park guidelines. And if you take a look at these, they do change every once in a while. I will put the link down below so you can read that. But I was also told it's very important, just take a second, especially if it's your first time, and go over these kind of canine rules and guidelines, and they should help you out a lot and make sure everybody's kind of on the same page with their animals, because remember, they are animals. I know they're pets, I know they're part of your family, but they are animals. And just like us humans, we always don't get along with every other human. So you have to keep an eye on your pets. Right behind me is probably the important thing right here, the duty calls, the poopy bags. And I was also told, believe it or not, that even in the middle of this, the people that are in charge of the dog parks or working at a rec center, they have told me that people actually, even in this atmosphere, people still tend not to pick up their dog poop. I don't understand that. You have all these other people around and stuff like that, and they still just leave their dog poop out there. I don't know whether they don't see it or not, but definitely something you want to keep track of. But also, he told me that you're supposed to keep an eye on your animal at all times, because they do have problems, obviously, every once in a while. Like I said, they're animals. And even though you think they're friendly, I used to train dogs, watch dogs. They weren't attack dogs, but they were watch dogs. And even the friendliest dogs can have their episodes of not liking somebody else. But there is a water area. And you see there's already a bowl out here and stuff like that. But he also asked me to convey to him that please don't leave your bowls and stuff like that around here. Please take them home with you, because they have to dispose of them if they find them out here. So it does not do any good to leave them out here. But as you can see, this is the over 30 pounds and looks more like a socializing than anything. And this over here is the 30 pounds. Now, before I leave, I'll go up and maybe I'll do it right now, take a aerial view so you can see kind of what's around here. But yeah, I mean, it looks like the dogs are having a blast out here. You may think I'm in jail actually, but this is a little area that's got 2 gates to it. And when you come in here, this is an area where you can leash your dog up, keep it from running around. And you really want to have your dog leashed up once you get into this area. And this area over here is the small dog area. Currently, I figured on the way back, since it was only 4 minutes from the last visit, the dog park, I take a walk over to Dudley, which is kind of unique. If your dog's never been here, you've never had the dog play here, this is kind of cool because they've got a lot of things that the
dogs can run around and jump on. So this is a lot of fun. This is like a playground for dogs, I guess. Kind of all the little amenities you'd like to see. And I'm sure if I can get down here sometime while there's dogs on here running around, it'd be kind of cool to see exactly what the dogs are doing here or whether they actually play with it. But I was kind of chuckling because it looks like some dogs already found some places to dig and have some fun. So if you have that kind of dog that likes running around, this could be a fun place for them to come.
Here is a list of the current parks that I have. I'll pass that along to you. I'll also put pertinent links down below so that you have those. And remember, please pick up after your dogs and please keep them off the hot pavement. And thank you so much for joining me. If you have any other information that I'm sure a lot of other dog people would like, put it down in the comments, put it down in the areas where I can see it, and I'll try to pass it along. But please, remind people that those pavements get hot, and it does get hot out there. Don't leave your dog in the car. Pick up your poop, and thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see you down in the villages or see you next time back here on YouTube. Have a wonderful day.